And Egypt really is our starting point tonight, where a delegation from the Russian Ministry of Transportation has inspected security measures at the Cairo International Airport one last time, ahead of the arrival of the first direct flight from Moscow to Cairo since 2015. Now, the Aeroflot flight is due to leave Moscow within the hour. Security officials at the airport in Cairo say the delegation inspected security procedures at the arrival and departure halls, which will receive inbound and outbound Cairo-Moscow flights. Now, the delegation also inspected the screening process for goods and for passengers too. The Russian flight ban did strike quite the blow to Egypt's tourism sector. Russia has traditionally been the largest single source of tourists to Egypt, contributing about a fifth or so of foreign vacationers to the country as of 2015. So then let's expand this conversation. Yasser Hakim is covering developments for us in Cairo. Julia Libova is about 4 hours away by air, live in Moscow tonight. Thank you to both of you. Yasser, let me start with you. So tonight's Aeroflot flight is between Moscow and Cairo, but what about direct flights to Sharm el-Sheikh and Hurghada? Are those going to resume as well?
Yes, but not at the moment. At the moment, I think the next few months will be, or weeks even, will be a trial period to see if all the security overhaul that has been presented in the airport are actually going according to plan. The training is bringing good results to ensure that everything is safe, and at the same time working on the security in Sharm el-Sheikh and Hurghada. If all goes fine, there should be the charter flights direct to Sharm and Hurghada by next June. That's what we understand. It's not a final time, but this is the preliminary date that's been set. For now, it's around 5 flights between both countries, 3 through Egypt Air and 2 from Aeroflot every week.
Indeed, Julia. A spokesperson for the Russian Tourism Ministry, though, was also quoted as saying that, quote, Egypt is not yet back as a tourist destination for the Russian market, end of quote. Now, if that is the case, then why resume these flights at all?
Well, Russia and Egypt have been in talks over the resumption of flights for a long time now, and Russia has been saying before that it needs to be satisfied that security will be ensured. And of course, both Russian and Egyptian businesses have been suffering because of the suspension of a flight. But the question now for Russia is when to resume flights to Sharm el-Sheikh and Hurghada. And Moscow says that this will be done after Russia and Egyptian aviation security specialists agree on an interaction scheme at Cairo airport. Of course, we also have to remember that it's almost 2 months until the Football World Cup kicks off in Russia. And of course, Egypt has qualified for that, and it's actually in the same group as Russia. And so an influx of Egyptian fans is expected, especially during June and July. So it's important to have at least Cairo as a direct route to Moscow.
Indeed, never underestimate the unifying power of football, eh? Yeah, so let's come to you. We're seeing some carriers like Air France and EasyJet changing their flight paths, at least given the latest threats of missile strikes by the United States into Syria. Has this had a negative effect of lengthening times of flights into and out of Cairo?
There's nothing really that shows that there has been any negative effect so far. We haven't seen any kind of complaints or changes in flights or cancellations because of this. What we understand is, yes, there might be some flight paths or different flight paths, but it's not always means that you go through a different route completely. Sometimes it means that the plane will go on a very higher altitude to avoid any tensions or whatever, but because at 35,000 feet, for example, that's far away from any situation happening below, where the fighter jets usually go on a lower altitude. So far, no negative effects have been measured or received at the moment, and things are going fine. Maybe the flight changes are very minimal, not too much time span on it.
Indeed. One last question for you, Julia. Tourist traffic into Egypt up by over 70% last year on an annual basis. What are the lingering security concerns that Russia has, which are preventing, at least right now, the resumption of direct flights from Russia to Sharm el-Sheikh and Hurghada?
Well, Russia suspended all flights to Egypt after a bomb took down a passenger plane over the Sinai in 2015. And of course, all 224 people on board were killed, and Russia treated that as a terrorist attack. And so Russia is very concerned about terrorism, and it says that Egypt should increase its security measures. Steps, of course, have been taken towards that. And indeed, Egyptian and Russian aviation security protocol has been signed, and Cairo has upgraded its security to comply with Russia's demands. Of course, once Russia is satisfied with those measures, it will then consider opening up routes to Sharm el-Sheikh and Hurghada.
Indeed, we'll leave it there for the time being. Julia Lyubova in Moscow, and of course Yasser Kim keeping a close eye on developments for us in Cairo. Thank you to both of you.